What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys. Not much to talk about today, but there are a few things, so let's get straight into it. And interesting enough, we had some info yesterday about Antonio Conte testing positive along with an unknown player. And that's all been confirmed today by various sources, I should say, with Ali Gold and Jonathan Veal and some others as well. Ali Gold says that Spurs have confirmed that Antonio Conte has tested positive for COVID at the weekend and has been appropriately distancing, but they expect him to be symptom-free and in charge of the match on Saturday. Jonathan Veal follows on from that, says all the same things, but he also confirmed that he will be taking hold of the press conference tomorrow via Zoom. So he's tested positive, and it might be an unnamed player as well that's tested positive.
Yeah, they said Conte is asymptomatic though, so as long as he's symptom-free and tested negative by Saturday, he should be on the touchline. And I think it's important that Conte's on the touchline because of how much energy he provides there, non-stop orders and I think he gives that extra bit of belief with him being on the touchline. So I think that is important. So it's a bit of a blow that he's going to be missing, a couple of days training or whatnot, but I'm sure there's adequate technology or adequate information being shared between him and the coaches that can get the message across. So I'm not too worried about that, but just not great timing, is it? In such an important run we have, that this happened now, but I'm sure it won't affect us too much.
What's lucky about it now, as opposed to what it would have been a few months ago, now the laws are you don't have to isolate, even though he is, which is obviously a good thing, but it's also the time periods between what the isolation periods were. Now it's just literally just test negative, have no symptoms, and you're back out.
Yeah, so in that case, is lucky. I wonder how it affects the daily tactical video breakdowns that we've been hearing about.
All on Zoom, going absolutely nuts to them anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing about them because they were saying how when we didn't, because this is the difference between now and early in the season when we were playing twice a week. When we didn't have the time early in the season, apparently he was trying to cram all these video tactical breakdowns into one session because he didn't have time to do it on multiple days because of the quick turnarounds between games when you're playing Sunday and Wednesday. He would have to cram them into hour-long to 2-hour-long sessions, but now he can do them daily, and he can make them more digestible into more 20-30 minute digestible sessions, and those things can make a difference to how players intake their information and how they can input it on the pitch. And maybe that's why we're seeing an improvement at the moment. And we said it, didn't we? As soon as we went out of the FA Cup, we said that obviously I'm disappointed, but Spurs having one game a week, it's going to be very valuable, especially with Conte, and I think that's bearing fruit at the moment.
Yeah, completely agree. In terms of the unnamed player, obviously it's not good any player to get COVID, but let's hope it's just not, something that's going to be of detriment to us. But, even if the player has caught COVID at the same time as Conte, you still maybe expect him to be in the squad this weekend.
Depends how bad he has it. Conte has it asymptomatically. If the guy, whoever this player is, has symptoms, then I would say it's highly unlikely he will play if he has symptoms at this point. But we haven't heard anything, so
let's just hope it's not Harry Kane after his, he went out to Augusta at the beginning of the week. Let's just hope it's not.
But we heard about Conte apparently had symptoms before the weekend, so Kane only went on, he went the day after, didn't he? Went on Monday. I don't know. It might be him, but who knows? Yeah. We're just speculating at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, that's the news. Conte has tested positive, and there is, we have had some info that it could be unnamed player as well. But let's move on. Some more on related to Antonio Conte. Sam Luckhurst of the Manchester Evening News claimed today that Cristiano Ronaldo vetoed now Tottenham Hotspur boss Antonio Conte as a possible Man United manager back in October. Do you think he's regretting those actions?
He's vetoed Champions League football, looks like. But, look, Ronaldo, to be fair, he's not getting any... I know he's still performing at a decent level, but he's not getting any younger now. He's 37, and he obviously holds that Champions League record, doesn't he, of most Champions League goals, and he'll probably want to extend that. And he's running out of time to extend it because next season doesn't look like they're going to be in Champions League. And when's he going to get another opportunity? Unless he moves, I don't know. It depends either after Man United or he stays at Man United for the long haul. We'll see. But I think he's definitely. I would guess he's regretting it. Trying to think whether he'd be good under Conte. Could he play that way? How Conte wants a striker to play? Probably. I think as a number 9, I think he's got pretty good hold-up play. He's very good in the air. He can be that number 9. While he probably can't drop deep and do the playmaking that Kane can do, but as Conte said, he doesn't want Kane to do that as much. He wants to help him, and they have Bruno. So I think Conte definitely could have got them playing to a higher level than they are now, and maybe would have had a much better shot at Champions League if he was there. So I would be regretting if I was him.
The thing is about Conte and the way he uses his players, it's not just about, he has his system and that's it. There's no kind of leeway there. He'll look at his squad and he'll find the best moments for the players and their attributes, and that's what he's showing at Tottenham. I think that's what he's shown all his career. So I think that to have a player like Cristiano Ronaldo in your squad of that ability, he'll make it work somehow.
Yeah, and you're probably right. And could he get like Rashford playing a lot better than he is right now? 100%. I think Rashford could play in the way that Son's playing right now. I think he would be perfect for that kind of role. Sancho, I think he'd be perfect for that inside right, kind of in a 3-4-3. And obviously you'd have Ronaldo up top. So I don't know. Maybe Ronaldo's been talking to some other players who said he's too crazy, don't even bother. Maybe he was chatting to Lukaku or something. I know, but Lukaku would have been praising him. So I don't know. I'm trying to think who he would have chatted to, which made him veto. Maybe he just thinks Conte's too defensive. He needs a manager who's going to keep the ball, and that's best for Ronaldo, it being in a possession-based team, because he doesn't want to do too much running. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't see why he would veto a world-class manager like Conte. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. Didn't really give. I read the article. Didn't really give any specific reasons. He just said he vetoed it.
Maybe it's something to do with Ronaldo likes to be the top dog now where he is, and if Conte comes, Conte won't be having that kind of stuff.
Maybe he's just too ruthless. That could be a thing, but I'm sure Conte would be playing Ronaldo. He's not, because Conte is not the kind of manager who. He likes experienced players. He likes that kind of profile. So it doesn't make sense. It's he's not like a Pochettino who might be like Ronaldo wouldn't fit my system in a way. Conte would be prepared to have that in his team. So I don't know. I can't. It's very interesting.
It's a strange one anyway, isn't it? But before we move on to the next topic, Erik ten Hag looks like he's going to Manchester United now. What's your opinion on him going there? Do you think it's going to be a success? Are they going in the right way now?
I mean, there's so many unknowns with this appointment, because he's never managed. Obviously, he's been manager of Ajax for a while now, and he's done very well there. To be fair,
through 2 world-class teams, didn't he?
Look, I've done about 2.
Well, the one that they got now, and the one that got. To
I wouldn't call the one they have now world-class.
Well, they're not. Maybe they're not as good as the one that he brought through before, but I think they're a very, very.
Who did they go out to in Europe in Champions League?
Was it Juve? I can't remember who they went out to.
I don't know. I don't think it's of the same standard. Look, I'm not saying they're a bad team. They're a good team, but and they're doing very well for a team coming out of the Dutch season in Champions League. They had a brilliant knockout round. Oh, they went out to Benfica, didn't they?
Benfica, was it? Yeah.
So. I think he did very well. Obviously, he's getting to the semi-finals back in 2019, exceptionally well. But he's never managed a team with big egos. He's going to have a Man United. He's going to have to manage these big personalities. Is he going to be able to translate the football that he plays with Ajax, where everyone is built around, everyone grows up through the academy and is built around a certain way of playing football? It's very different to in Man United, where it's built around winning. It's not built around winning at Ajax. I mean, they do win a lot, but it's built around a certain way of playing football, and starts from the academy all the way to the first team. And he's going to have to try and implement that at Old Trafford. It's going to take time. I think they need to be prepared again for a transitional season. And they're not going to work straight away. It's going to take a lot of time, and he might be successful if they give him the time and the backing that he needs. But it's going to take a couple of seasons. Next season they might be out the top 4 again, and they need to be prepared for that.
Yeah, it also depends what they do in the summer transfer window, because obviously apparently he only went there if he had like a say in the players that had come in, and that's kind of like been the detriment to some of the managers at Manchester United in the past post Sir Alex Ferguson. So if he has that and brings in his kind of players this summer, because he's going to want to get out the players that don't really press from the front and, you know, don't really put in the hard yards, maybe even like the egos like Paul Pogba and people like that.
Pogba's going anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if he gets his players in this summer, I still think potentially you're going to see a much changed Manchester United next year, and they can challenge for the top 3, top 4 kind of positions.
It's too early to say. So he has to get all these signings. They have to all get them right. He has to get the egos out of the team. He has to implement his football style. He has to manage egos, which he's never done before. He has to manage in a new league, which he's never done before. The difference between playing in the Dutch league and the Premier League in terms of competition is night and day. So I'm not saying he's going to be a failure. I'm just saying there's so many unknowns that we don't know whether he's up to it or not. He might be, he might not be. And I think I'm just saying, if next season I think if this is going to work, Man United have to be prepared to potentially miss out on top 4 again next season if this is going to work. I think, and if they're not prepared for that, then he could be out the door again next season. And they could be looking for a new manager. That's the feeling I get. But I think he's very clearly a talented coach. I just think they should do. I think they've believed some hype around Pochettino that he's not up to the job. I think Poch would have been perfect, and I'm very happy they didn't go for him because I think he would have done a great job. And I think he's actually less of a risk than Ten Hag. For some reason, Ten Hag is seen as less of a risk because he's won championships in Holland, and I don't see that for me.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Ollie Skipp now. The same info that we had from Antonio Conte. He says that Ollie Skipp will be out for the remainder of the season, or is likely to be out for the remainder of the season, which is obviously really bad news. One of our midfielders get injured now. We're really out on our legs in midfield. Hopefully it's not right, but he was spot on about Conte, so it's hard to take, really.
Well, yeah, obviously this isn't confirmed. This is news that's been fed to us, and just want to make that clear. That there was news fed to us a few days ago that Conte was ill, and that's turned out to be true. And he also said Skipp is going to be out for the remainder of the season. So this isn't confirmed. This isn't from like a journalist or anything. This is someone feeding us information, and we'll see whether it's true. But if it is true, then it is a massive blow, and it leaves us very short in the central midfield, and also leaves question marks over what is going on with Ollie Skipp, because Conte doesn't seem to know. Every week it's kind of, is he going to be back? Is he not? He came back to training. We saw the pictures of him in training last week, and then it came out during the midweek that he still felt pain in his groin and he wasn't ready. So it's not just question marks over our depth now in centre mid if we do get injury to Højbjerg and Bensko. Also question marks for Skipp going forward is what's going on? Is he going to be resolved? Is he going to get back to full fitness sooner rather than later? I hope it's not a case similar to Winks. Like, people forget with Winks that he had this problem with his ankle that he admitted he's never going to fully recover from. And he's just going to have to manage the pain that happens. That was a few years ago, and you could maybe even pinpoint that as the starting point of his decline. And I hope, obviously it's way too early to start talking about Skipp in that kind of vein of form, but the fact that they can't put a finger on what the real problem is a big worry for me. And hopefully, if it is a case of just let him rest till the end of the season and sort it out in the summer, then that's it. I guess we just got to do that. But it is worrying that it's dragging on this long without a real resolution or time frame of what is going on.
Yeah, it is worrying. Obviously, he got that big injury at the back end of last season, which he recovered really well from, got back really quickly. But this kind of injury problem just doesn't seem to be going away. But yeah, you're completely right. It's very worrying. Let's just hope we can get him back as soon as possible, really, on a consistent basis. But that's that on Ollie Skipp. Some not so great news. Let's move on. Let's talk about Milinkovic-Savic now of Lazio. A Lazio publication called La Lazio Si Amo are saying Paratici and Conte are crazy about Milinkovic-Savic, and Tottenham cannot be left out in the race to sign him in the summer. I saw some reports a week or two ago saying, Savic has been at Lazio now for 7 years, and he thinks it's probably about time to move on this summer. So that plays into that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams in for him this summer. He's a top quality player, has been, one of the best players in Serie A for a few years now. And I think I would absolutely welcome him through the door, but I think that we'll have a lot of competition if we are going for him.
I think his stock was higher maybe a couple of years ago, I would say.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think his stock is at the highest. That's why he's probably being linked with Tottenham right now. I think a few years ago, there was non-stop links to him and Man United, I remember. It was like daily, like him to Man United, him to Man City or something, and it didn't quite happen for him. I don't think I'm not saying he's been bad. I don't think he's been as good as he was a couple of years ago, but he's still performing at a very high level. And I think he's at an age now, 27 years of age, I believe, about that.
Yeah.
I think he's at an age now. I think it's completely right. He's been at Lazio for 7 years. He probably wants a change of scenery. Lazio this season, where are they? Mid-table. They're not. I don't think they seem to be challenging, do they? For like top four. I don't think they're going to get back in the Champions League.
They're not getting back in the Champions League.
So I think that probably signifies him thinking, because I don't think they've been Champions League for a few years now, have they? So I would say that he would be a brilliant signing. It's one of those where he could take himself up a level.
Well, they're sixth, 2 points behind Roma.
Yeah, how many points behind Juventus though in fourth?
Yeah, quite a few. Juventus on 62 and Lazio down on 55.
Okay, 7. It's not completely out of the question, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah, but at this stage, 32 games gone.
Europe, so yeah, it's very unlikely. So I think he's definitely one, if we get Champions League and he's available and wants to come to Tottenham, 100% we should be after him. And I think we'd have a decent chance of getting him as well if we're in Champions League, and he will pay the money. How many years he got left on his contract?
He runs out in 2024.
So another 2 years. So good time to get him as well, contract-wise.
I mean, he is having a fairly good season. I mean, he scored 9 goals and 9 assists.
I didn't say I was having a bad season.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He's having a good season. 9 goals, 9 assists. But in terms of his stock, you're probably right there, because his highest ever market value was 81 million, currently 63 million.
Yeah, I think his stock was a bit higher a few years ago, but I still think he's playing at a very high level. I don't think it's because he's become a worse player or anything like that. And I think he did have a poor season. Was it? I think a couple of years ago or last year or so. One of them was he had a poor season, but he's come back into it again. He's having a very good season again. I think he would fit right in Conte's system as well, whether it be a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. I think he's a very strong midfield. I don't think in terms of tackles and interceptions and stuff, he's kind of at like a Bentancur or Højbjerg level. But I think on the ball, in terms of goal scoring, late runs in the box, these kind of things, passing range, I think he's fantastic. I think he's would add a new dimension to our midfield, and he definitely would help creatively. And I think he's a hard worker as well, but I just don't think he's like an elite off the ball kind of player. But I think he'd be a massive upgrade on what we have in terms of quality. I'd be a massive fan of him.
So I asked you these questions yesterday. I'll ask you again now with a different player: Milinkovic-Savic or Yuri Tielemans?
I think I'd probably go for Milinkovic-Savic. I think I'd probably go for him. I think he's probably a better player than Tielemans. But there's a lot of talent there, and we mentioned as well Ruben Neves. I think there's a lot of talent there that I think are gettable, and I don't think we have an excuse in the summer saying, "Oh, we can't get the right player," because I think we could get any one of those 3 players, and they would improve us. So I don't want to hear any excuses in the summer saying it's better not to get anyone than to get the wrong player, or it's better to wait for the right player and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to hear that, because there's plenty of talent out there. And especially if we get Champions League football, there is no excuse.
Yeah.
And I think he should definitely be on the list. And obviously he's been Serie A, so Paratici and Conte know what he's all about. I think he would be a brilliant sign. The only thing is, does he want to come Premier League? Does he want to stay in Italy? A lot of the personal player situations always come into it, don't they? So if he wants a chance to Premier League and Champions League football, we could be a very good bet. But whether we get gazumped by Chelsea or City or Liverpool or money-wise United, Who knows? But I think we could definitely put up a good case that we could be an attractive team.
Yeah, especially with Conte and Paratici here as well.
Definitely.
All right. Let's move on from Savic. Let's talk about Giovanni Lo Celso now. Another impressive display in the Champions League last night, qualifying Villarreal to the semi-finals, knocking out Bayern Munich and Juventus back-to-back, which is absolutely amazing for Villarreal. Brings up the question about Giovanni Lo Celso, and would we take him back? Would we want him back at Spurs? He's putting in some really impressive displays, isn't he? So I put the question to you. Would you take him back?
If we don't get the money for him, I would take him back, yeah. I still believe in Lo Celso, and I believe that under the right conditions he can be a very good player for us. And I've always believed in his quality. I just think he has been injury prone and he's been very unsettled, I think, since coming to Tottenham. And I do think at this point it's better to get money for him rather than take him back. But if we don't get a suitable offer, I wouldn't want him in the reserves and just rotting away. I'd want him battling for a place in the team. And I think he can provide good competition. I think Conte was playing him in the wrong position. He's been playing very central for Villarreal. And he was just like yesterday again, another brilliant. It was more of a pre-assist, but a brilliant move for the goal. And he was man of the match in the first leg. So I think he's showing his quality for Villarreal, and they're very happy with him. So I do think he can be a player for us still. I still believe that. But I just think that I wouldn't want it to be a situation where he comes back and fans are getting on his back and waiting for little mistakes again and all these kind of things. So I would just rather, if he's more settled in Spain, sell him. But I would take him back if we don't get the money that's right for him. I would take him back. If they're only saying, oh, we're only going to go for like 20 million and that's it. All right, well, we'll use him. I'd rather use him than that.
Rez, I think it was you and Rez or someone on Rez was asking me on the fan show at the end of the last game, would I take him back? I said no at that point. But having thought about it a bit more, is it worth saying that, when Lo Celso was at Spurs, we weren't really a functioning team. There was bad kind of aura around the place, a lot of unhappy players and stuff like that. Revolving door with managers. Obviously, Jose was there. Pochel signed him. Ryan Mason came in for a little bit, and
this is the first time we've really been settled.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, is it different? Lo Celso is going to be coming back into a completely different, state of club, a completely different environment, a happy squad, a squad that's together. So do you think, it could even relate to Tanguy and Ndombele as well? I mean, do you think that it's a completely different kettle of fish, these players coming into this kind of atmosphere?
Yeah, I want to think so. The only, people will say, well, we don't want anyone to come in and change the atmosphere negatively. And that's also true. And if that is the case, then yeah, well, I wouldn't want them anywhere near it. But I like to think that maybe if they do come into a team like that is more functioning well like they are now, and players who know their role, maybe it could be different for them, and maybe they could find a place back in the team and have a bit of a resurrection. Because these are talented players, and these are players who could have a role in the squad if they fight for their place. I believe both of them could. I think Ndombele maybe less so, just because of his profile of play. I don't know if I think we were more desperate to get rid of him than we were Lo Celso. I felt, but I feel like Lo Celso, there could be a way back in for him and especially with what he's showing at Villarreal and at an international level. I think there could be a way back if we can't get rid of him. But if Conte thinks he's gonna negatively impact the environment, and then yeah, it's probably better to get rid of him, because you only want players who are all completely bought in.
All right, that's Giovanni Lo Celso. I want to know your opinions on Gio in the comment section below. Would you take him back? Do you think there's still a place for him at Tottenham? Let me know in the comment section below. And let's move on to the last bit of news we've got for you. There's been an interview done with Ryan Sessegnon over the last 24 hours. What's been said in that interview? Any key takeaways from that interview?
Yeah, he did an exclusive interview with ESPN, and there's, I guess, a few things to talk about. First of all, he was talking about Conte's comments, which was a bit of a discussion a few months ago when Conte said that he believes that when he was asked about Sessegnon's injury worries, he says, "I think that there is a predisposition for Sessegnon to have this type of problem, and especially muscular problems. He's very strong physically. Sometimes maybe to be strong physically, instead of being good for your body, sometimes it can be a problem." And those quotes were put to Sessegnon and how he feels about those comments. He said, definitely is something that I have to manage because I'm at a stage where coming through when I was a bit younger at Fulham, I had no injuries. And then I'm at Spurs now. I've had a few problems, but as I'm getting older, I need to start managing the intensity of training, the way I train. And obviously under Conte, the training is intense anyway, but it's about being a bit more mature and smart in certain sessions where here and there and not going 100%. That's just my nature and the way I play. Is just knowing your body, being smart and trying to be available every game. So going forward, I'm trying to learn these things. It's a bit worrying. So he's suggesting that he can't, with his body and his injury problems, he sometimes feels he can't go 100% in every training session because he feels like he has to be available to play the game.
He's talking about a guy he's talking like a guy who's had a whole career behind him and he needs to manage his body and his injuries.
Similar to like when Delhi was saying when he turned I think it was 23 or 24, he was saying, oh, I'm getting to an age where I can't do what I used to be able to do at 20. I was like, what are you on about? You're 24. What are you you're talking like you're a seasoned professional. And I don't know what it is. Maybe younger players being burnt out at a younger age. Maybe that's something. There's a conversation to be had there. But he's not the first player. Obviously, I mentioned Winks before. I hope it isn't a situation with Winks where he just has to manage it because he's so young. He's managing injuries from that young of age. That's something that players used to talk about when they're 30 or 32. Oh, I have to manage my body. I can't go.
It's like what you hear from Gareth Bale.
Yeah, or Ryan Giggs used to say, when he was 35, 36 or something. He's obviously I can't play like I used to when I was in my 20s. But now it's players are talking about it when they're 23, 24. It's I can't do what I used to. It's you're so young. What are you talking about? But that's
very worrying to hear someone like Ryan Sessegnon, who hasn't played that much football, let's be honest.
He's played more for Hoffenheim than he has for Spurs.
You know what I mean? And he's coming out and speaking about how he needs to manage his body and manage the training sessions. I mean, at that age, you should be going 100% in every training session.
You would have thought so. And I guess that, people say it's better to cut a lot of Sessegnon because of his injury record. And judging from those quotes, they might have a case because it sounds like these injuries are not going away anytime soon, to be honest, which is a bit of a worry.
It is a worry. Anything else in there?
Obviously, he was talking about his time in Germany, but not too much interesting. He was talking about when he signed for Tottenham, how he signed. A big part of the reason why he signed was to play under Pochettino. And he said that he said when I was a bit younger, I was aware that Spurs wanted me to sign previously to when I did, but eventually when I did, Pochettino was the main reason why I signed. Obviously, I knew his track record of young players at the club. I looked at that and I thought it was a good opportunity for me to come and play a lot of games at a young age under him. And when I went, it was difficult because he was the main reason. Sorry, when he went, it was difficult because he was the main reason why I signed. And when I was coming back to full fitness, there was already a new manager that had come in. So in terms of getting to know Pochettino as a person, the way he wants to play, I couldn't take anything from him because literally he was gone when I was ready to come back in. And in terms of myself, I think I learned a lot about myself in the period mentally. It shaped me into the person I've become. So I guess that must be frustrating for someone like Sessegnon when signing for a manager like Pochettino, known for giving youngsters a chance. Then by the time you're fit to play your first game, he's already gone, and that probably stunted his growth at Tottenham.
I think that actually stunted everyone that we signed that summer. Sessegnon, Celso, Ndombele, Jack Clark potentially even. All of them, none of them kicked on, did they? None of them. So, and I think they all kind of made the noise coming. Oh, they came here to play under Pochettino. They came here to play under Pochettino, and obviously he went a few months later. So, that transfer window at the time seemed like an amazing window. Now it just seems like probably one of our worst windows in a long time.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, they've all been failures pretty much, except for arguably Sessegnon. Talking about that red card in Mura, he said, I think I kind of thought to myself I messed up my chance because I thought, okay, it's my first start under Conte, I want to impress, but I really wasn't in the game. Conte didn't say anything to me directly after the game. I think it was the next day we watched the game back, and he was saying you didn't even touch the ball. And then after the first yellow card, and then you got a red card. It was really bad. Conte is equally forthright in news conferences. He says there have been times when we haven't been good enough, and he just lets us know in the changing room. He tells the truth. He says what he thinks to our faces, and he'll say the same in front of the cameras. That's just how he is. Asked about the improvement under Conte, though, he says, when you have someone who is so passionate about the game, it rubs off on you. He's a perfectionist, and he wants the best, and he wants to be the best, and he's one of the best at everything. So you want to be the so everything you do, you want to do to the best of your ability. When we're in the tactics every day, trying to better ourselves, learn about the opponent more as well. It's more about the way we can improve, and I think the team has taken great steps forward. Talking about his role as wing back, he says, I think I'm a mixture of left back and left wing back, and left wing and left back. So the role is perfect for me. Conte wants to win and wants us to play with a bit more freedom, take responsibility, and bring the game to the opposition. I think the wing back positions are probably the most important in the team in terms of creating overloads, attacking wise, and defensively we are stronger in a back five. But then obviously supporting attacks to get crosses in and score goals. It's a very demanding job. You use a lot of energy, and it's about managing that and being smart and effective at that time. And he's saying that type of performance at City, which I had, was a game I needed, to be honest with you, because I knew if I did well against City, then the next game I would have a chance to play again and again, and I would try and find that consistency. Do you think, he's talking about the demanding role? Obviously, I know Doherty's injury wasn't to do with the demands of the role of wing back, but we have had so many injuries, haven't we, since Conte's come in at wing back? And do you think that maybe either them adjusting or just his demands maybe has a role to play in how many injuries we're getting in that role?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's hard to know. It's hard to know because you don't really know what's going on. But when you've got the work that's being done under Jose Mourinho, it was obviously very highly documented that he didn't do any fitness work with the players. He relied on them to do it himself. Obviously, Ryan Mason was only in for a short time, and Nuno, nobody knows how hard he worked the players or not, but it was nowhere near as hard as Conte. So when you're in that kind of environment, and then suddenly Antonio Conte comes in and he's like literally a train wreck in training, and like makes you literally like die in training because he works you so hard, then maybe there is a case for that, and it's just the players getting used to his methods.
Yeah, and it's going to take time, and obviously we need, and also a lot of the times when we've had one or two fullbacks out, it puts even more pressure on the other fullbacks. They're playing more consistently, and they have to play every game, and it puts even more pressure on them physically, and maybe that's why we've had problems. But hopefully next season they can be resolved, and I do think, I agree with him, the wing-back positions under Conte are so vital in how he likes to play, and once we get maybe some new blood in there, we can see this team go up levels.
Yeah. All right, just one more thing before we go. Brighton midfielder Mwepu has promised Arsenal fans that the Seagulls will do everything they can to beat Tottenham on Saturday. I mean, why does he even need to say that? Surely he does everything he can to win every game.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? But
why didn't he come out before and say, "Don't worry, Tottenham fans, we're going to do all we can in our favour to beat Arsenal"?
Because he maybe he feels bad for giving Arsenal the whipping they got on Saturday, and he's saying,
feel bad after 7 losses and a draw.
No, you shouldn't feel bad. I don't know why he's promised that, but
it's a weird thing. No?
It is a bit of a weird thing. I mean, I need to see the full quote in context, but it's a bit of a weird thing to say if he's just promising Arsenal fans to win. But look, promise all he likes. As long as we bring ourselves to the game properly, we'll win that game. So bring it on, Mwepu.
Yeah, exactly. Although he was pretty class against Arsenal on the weekend.
Was.
But anyway, that is our Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.